Good evening, all, and welcome to today's webinar on exploring career in architecture. We're thrilled to have you all join us and explore the dynamic and creative career that we call as architecture. And architecture is more than just designing buildings. And today we are here to discuss and see what is the opportunities that awaits us as we call architecture our career or our profession. And in this journey, we have experts, Dr. Sunil Edward and architect Suja Karta, uh, who are experts in the field and who have been academicians and practicing architects. And as a student who is considering career in architecture or simply someone who is curious about the field, for the participants, it is this session is identified or curated to for a comprehensive understanding of the profession and to answer your questions and your queries about what architecture is and how do you become an architect. So please feel free to engage through the session, ask questions, and let's start the session by inviting our experts here. We have with us Dr. Sunil Edward, who is a former professor and head of the Department of Architecture and former dean of PG Studies at the College of Engineering, Trivandrum, Thiruvananthapuram, with nearly 30 years of teaching experience. He holds a B.Arch from Mangalore University and an MCAP from the University of Roorkee and a PhD from IIT Roorkee. He began his career with 5 years at ESDC, working alongside Padma Shri Dr. Laurie Baker, which sparked his enduring passion for sustainable architecture. His research interests include the emotional impact of architecture, especially in religious spaces. Professor Edward has led several socially significant projects, including layout planning for Sabrimala and Pamba. He serves on advisory boards such as KSITIL and CUSAT and is an AICTE expert for engineering college evaluations. He has published widely, delivered numerous talks, and participated in archaeological research at Pattanam. A passionate traveler, he's visited 37 countries and nearly every Indian state. We welcome you to the session, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
The second expert that we have with us today is Professor Suja Kumari. She's an academician with 25 years of teaching experience in architecture at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels. She holds a B.Arch from CET, Trivandrum, and M.Arch from Hindustan University, Chennai. She has 12 years of professional experience with leading architectural firms across Trivandrum, Vadodara, and Mumbai. A former associate professor at CET with 19 years of teaching service, she retired in 2019 and joined Marian College of Architecture and Planning, where she is currently serving as a principal since November 2022. Her academic interests include housing, traditional architecture, and sustainable design, with research focusing on heritage documentation, community housing, and innovative teaching methods. We welcome you, ma'am, to the session. We would also be having architect Abhiram. Uh, architect Abhiram has joined us. He is a college alumni and is a student from Marian College of Architecture and Planning, who completed his B.Arch and now pursuing postgraduate and masters in urban design from College of Engineering, Trivandrum. We welcome you, Abhiram, to the session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So this session is more designed towards asking questions and discussing more on architecture and the possibilities of these questions. So we would start with some few questions to the session rather than a talk-oriented webinar. So I would put in the first question, but then after that, I would request all the participants to add questions to this. Um, the first question that I have for the experts is why choose architecture? Sunil sir, could you begin with?
Okay. I don't know how many. I think we only have a few students here. And what is the preferred language here? Students, not students who are aspiring for architecture. Maybe can you raise your hand on the computer? Anyway, so to answer this question, Why architecture? Architecture is actually, I would say, it's more than just building. ഒരു ബിൽഡിങ്ങിന്റെ കൺസ്ട്രക്ഷൻ മാത്രമല്ല, architecture is much more than that. എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു architecture, there is a saying which we used to hear very often, that architecture is the mother of all arts. ഞാനത് ആദ്യമായിട്ട് കേൾക്കുന്നത് when I joined for architecture some 40 years back. എൻ്റെ ക്ലാസ്സിലാണ് ആദ്യമായിട്ട് ടീച്ചേഴ്സ് വന്ന് ആർക്കിടെക്ചർ ഇസ് ദ മദർ ഓഫ് ഓൾ ആർട്സ് എന്നുള്ളൊരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ് പറയും. അന്ന് ഇന്ന് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നെറ്റ് കയറി ആർക്കിടെക്ചർ എന്താണ്, നല്ല ആർക്കിടെക്ചർ എന്താണ്, നല്ല വർക്ക്സ് എന്താണ്, അങ്ങനെ ഒത്തിരി കാര്യങ്ങൾ കാണാൻ പറ്റുമെങ്കിലും അന്നത്തെ കണ്ടീഷനിലെ സിറ്റുവേഷൻ വാസ് വെരി ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ്. ഇതൊരു ഒരു സബ്ജക്റ്റീവ് ആയിട്ടുള്ളൊരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെന്റ് ആയിട്ടാണ് ഞാൻ അന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കിയത്. പക്ഷെ ഇതിനകത്തുള്ള ഒരു സയന്റിഫിക് സൈഡ് മനസ്സിലാക്കാനായിട്ട് ഒത്തിരി നാളെടുത്തു. അതായത് ഒരു 2 വർഷം മുമ്പ് നമ്മൾ MIT മാസച്യൂസ് US മാസച്യൂസ് യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റിയിൽ പോയിട്ട് അവിടെ നമ്മുടെ ഒരു സ്റ്റുഡൻറ്, അവിടെ PG ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു സ്റ്റുഡൻറ് വാസ് ടീച്ചിങ് us around the college, and in the B.Arch ക്ലാസ് അവിടെ ഒരു സബ്ജക്റ്റിന്റെ പേര് SBS എന്നൊരു സബ്ജക്ട്. So we asked him what is that subject, and he said it's a sick building syndrome. മീനിങ് ആ സബ്ജക്ട് പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്നത് ഒരു റൂം നിങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും ആ റൂമിൽ നിങ്ങൾ നല്ല റൂമും മോശം റൂമും എന്താണ്, മോശം റൂമാണെങ്കിൽ ആ റൂം, ആ ബിൽഡിങ് അത് ഓക്യുപ്പൈ ചെയ്യുന്ന ആളുടെ പുറത്ത് എന്തുമാത്രം ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. ബേസിക്കലി ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് എ സയന്റിഫിക്കലി പ്രൂവ്ഡ് ഐഡിയ what you are being taught, that a building have an influence and input on the occupant എന്നുള്ളത്. അത് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഇത് സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്? ഇപ്പോൾ ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിൽ നമ്മൾ പെയിന്റ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ എങ്ങനെ പെയിന്റ് ചെയ്യണം, ഒരു ബിൽഡിങ്ങിന്റെ ഒത്തിരി ഡാർക്ക് പെയിന്റ് അടിച്ച് എന്ത് പറ്റും, ഇങ്ങനെ ചെറിയ ചെറിയ കാര്യങ്ങൾ പോലും ആ ബിൽഡിംഗ് ഓക്യുപ്പൈ ചെയ്യുന്ന ആളുടെ പുറത്ത് ഒരു ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസ് ഉണ്ടെന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഈ സബ്ജക്റ്റ് പറയുന്നത്. അത് പിന്നെ അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് നമുക്ക് ധാരാളം അനുഭവങ്ങൾ അത് അങ്ങനെ ആ രീതിയിൽ നമുക്ക് ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ട്. സാധാരണ ഞാൻ എപ്പോഴും പറയാറുള്ള ഒരു അനുഭവമാണ്, ഒരു കുട്ടി, എൻ്റെ ഒരു സ്റ്റുഡൻറ്, PG സ്റ്റുഡൻ്റ് ആണ്. ഷീ ഓൾവേസ് എവറി ഡേ ഷീ യൂസ് ടു കം വിത്ത് എ കുറി, നെറ്റിയിൽ ഒരു കുറി ഇട്ട് രാവിലെ അമ്പലത്തിൽ പോയി നെറ്റിയിൽ ഒരു കുറി ഇട്ടാണ് എല്ലാ ദിവസവും കോളേജിൽ വരുന്നത്. എല്ലാ ദിവസവും രാവിലെ എത്തും. ഷീ യൂസ് ടു കം ഫോർ ഡിസ്കഷൻ ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് എവറി ഡേ. ആൻഡ്
Sanil sir, I'm sorry to interrupt. There's a message from Alif. He's just requesting you to speak in English. He's having difficulty in understanding Malayalam.
Okay, that's good.
So thank you.
Okay, thank you. This student, so I was asking her why. All of a sudden, I saw that Kuri is not there anymore. So I asked her why, and she said, "Sir, there is a temple near my house, and I used to go there every day, and I get some peacefulness out of that visit. And all of a sudden, somebody in that village, they donated 1 crore rupees to that temple. And the committee members immediately decided to renovate the temple. And they have gone a renovation sphere, and they put on tiles and aluminum handrails and all office building and toilet facilities. They have sort of improved the facilities. But she says after this improvement, when she goes to the temple, something is missing. Somebody has actually improved on it, but after that, this girl is telling that something is missing. So, this experience I've had many times. People telling, if you look into it, if you go to a restaurant, the moment you go in, you decide whether it's a good restaurant or a bad restaurant. Have you noticed? You go into a house, your friend's house, relative's house. The moment you walk in and you open the front door and go in, you immediately you would say, you won't say, you may not say, but in you get a feeling that this is a good house, this is a bad house. So this sort of an influence is there to the building. Now, one common example, you might have heard of Sir Winston Churchill. the former British prime minister, he he used to say one he has a statement which he usually quote. We architects often quote that. It's goes something like this. He said this when he inaugurated the RIBA. RIBA is the Royal Institute of British Architects. When he inaugurated RIBA, he said, "Architect mold spaces, and those spaces mold the people living in them." So when you sit down to mold spaces, be careful. You are not molding spaces, you are molding people. I'll repeat that. Architects mold spaces, and those spaces mold the people living in them. So when you sit down to mold spaces, be careful. You are not molding spaces, you are molding people. You see, this is a beautiful statement which again I understood long back, and now I really realize that how true he is. There are many examples I can quote regarding this. You know, my like Pawnami was saying that my PhD is on church architecture, and one of the questions I had during that research is that during that time there was a book was published. It's called the Auditorium Church. This book compiles some hundred church buildings. It's not just Christian churches and mosque and synagogues all over the world. And he argues that these modern churches and mosques and synagogues somehow it is becoming just an auditorium. I mean, it's lacks the power to accentuate somebody's spirituality, which used to be there in old buildings. He says that somehow that is lacking. I remember when I was working with Lori Baker. Um, there was a church committee from Trivandrum, Paritipara Junction. There is a church. So they came to Bakerji and said that we want to build a church. And he said, okay, where is the site? What is the site? How big is the site? How do I design? So then these people immediately answered, no, sir. We have already have the plan and we have started the construction. We just want you to design an elevation for us. So this is the understanding about churches and mosque and synagogues nowadays. You have an ice and this facade is like an icing in the cake, but it is much more than that. That is what architecture is all about. My master architect, when he designs something, it actually have a uh, power to influence the people living in there. Whether it's a residence, going into a residence, or it's a kindergarten, it's office, anything. You are doing not just a building. You are doing much more than that building. You're actually molding people. That's what the famous statement by Wilson Churchill. You are not molding spaces. You are actually molding people. Um, I've been lucky enough to visit a lot of places and famous buildings all over the world. I've seen this many times, um, where you go into this. The buildings that come to mind is Cordoba Mosque in Spain, where you go into that building immediately you feel you're spiritually accentuated. Your emotion is being played by the architect. So that is the sort of thing is what is architecture is all about. I would say um, you're going to influence people. You're going to mold people. It's a noble cause, and what you're doing is much more than just uh, designing building. If you ask what are you going to learn when you join for architecture, you're not going to learn just designing a building. You're going to learn much more than that. Maybe that's the difference between architecture and civil engineering too. Designing spaces is what architecture concentrate more about, and civil engineering would concentrate on the other part. Once you've done, the plan is ready. Now how to construct the columns and structures and all those things would be what the civil engineering would. Okay.
Yeah, thanks so much, sir. I think the last part of your statement is more towards the answer to what Alif here is asked, I would like to know what makes B.Arch different from other courses. So you focused on civil engineering. Would you like to add the other courses or any other art or design oriented courses? Sujam ma'am or Sunil sir, could you add to that?
Yeah, can I add something to what Sunil
Yes,
was
ma'am.
saying?
Sure.
Yeah,
See,
please.
Yes, ma'am.
architects have the power to shape the built environment. So, you have the power to influence the quality of life, health, well-being of an individual, a community, the world as a whole. So that is the kind of power that architects have, and that is what we all do. Sunil was saying exactly the same thing. It's just not designing a residence. In a layman's point of view, architect means somebody who designs a residence. But we are much beyond all that. We have a social responsibility as an architect. We have a responsibility towards the environment. So that is the kind of philosophy or the concept that you need to develop while pursuing architecture. And I hope Alif is clear with the doubt that he had, how different it is from other courses. See, architecture is purely creative, it's very original. Each person is different. We all have certain qualities in us. The minute you choose architecture as a profession, as a career, it means that you have some kind of passion or interest towards that. So that is exactly what you need. You need to have some kind of passion, otherwise you will never become successful. So you have a lot of things put together. You have a social responsibility, you have a commitment towards improving one's life, you have a responsibility towards making a very safe built environment. So the kind of options that we have, the flexibility, the diversity, the complexity, everything makes architecture very different. In fact, you all must have. Ratan Tata is one industrialist whom we all respect and have a great regard. He was an architect, and in many meetings, he used to convey this fact that the architecture course, that B.Arch 5-year B.Arch course, has taught him so many things in his life. All that he is thanks to the education or the course that he underwent throughout the architecture program. How to handle complex things, how to make a structured things, how to attend to minute details, how to make it aesthetically pleasing, how to go in for sustainable practices, how to come out with innovative ideas. And he has at least 4 5 speeches I've heard where he's definitely mentioning how architecture has helped him to become such a person that we all consider so respectful.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Um, is there a question from the audience, or I would like to ask another one?
ഓഡിയൻസിലുള്ളവർ ചോദിക്കട്ടെ, എന്തെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ
Others?
ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ്?
Any questions from the audience?
Can ask in any
Obtained as
language.
a principal when I meet parents who comes for admissions is the latest question is, will AI take over architecture? അങ്ങനെ ഒരു പേടി എല്ലാവർക്കും ഉണ്ട്. ആർട്ടിഫിഷ്യൽ ഇന്റലിജൻസ് ക്രിയേറ്റിവിറ്റി ഓവർടേക്ക് ചെയ്യുമോ?
But what do you think about it? What is your opinion about it?
It is only a tool. Actually, AI, the results of AI is all based on the analysis of data that has been fed into it. ആ ഡാറ്റാസ് ഇറ്റ് കുഡ് ബി എ ലാർജ് എമൗണ്ട്, ബട്ട് നമ്മുടെ പ്രോംസ് ആയിരിക്കാം ഓരോ റിസൾട്ട് തരുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ ഐ എം വെരി ഷുവർ ഇറ്റ് കനോട്ട് ഓവർടേക്ക് ദറ്റ് ആ ഒരു ന്യൂവാൻസസ് ഓഫ് അവർ ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽ പെർസ്പെക്റ്റീവ്സോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ റിച്ച്നെസ് ഓഫ് എക്സ്പീരിയൻസസോ നമ്മുടെ പെർസ്പെക്റ്റീവ്സോ ഒന്നും അതിന് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ കഴിയും. അൺലെസ് it is being fed, it is very difficult for it to understand. So so that is where the originality is, where that is where the creativity is. So I don't think AI can overtake us. It is only
Yeah,
a tool, and it is our intelligence how to use the tool. See, for we can use it very intelligently for very lot of things. So problem solving വേണ്ടിട്ടോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ newer ways of presentations വേണ്ടിയോ it is really making us thinker even higher and higher. സോ അതൊരു ടൂളായിട്ട് ഉപയോഗിക്കണം. അത് നമ്മളെ കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി ഓവർ പവർ ചെയ്യുമെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ ഐ ഡൗട്ട്.
it's a very useful tool. That's the correct answer. It's a very useful tool. We can use it to our Correct.
Uh, we have architect Abhiram here as well, who has been an alumni of MCAP and is now fresh into the profession. Um, and as a person who is pursuing masters, what would your opinion about this be? About AI taking over architecture?
So first of all, good evening, faculties. Sunil sir, Sujam and Varnam, and all the other faculties present here. Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Yes. So from the beginning, I would like to thank each and every one of you for giving me an opportunity to actually come forward to talk with you people, to everyone actually. And like initially, just as Pavanam ma'am just said, architecture has a different perspective for each and everyone. As Sunil sir said his perspective, Sujam ma'am said, my perspective is that we are not actually built for everything. We come here, we develop different qualities. Like I came to architecture as a completely what should I say? I didn't have a basic idea of what I should do. Okay, I had a civil background from my father, but since I came to like when I came to architecture, it was kind of a boom for me, like learning new things, like different like most importantly the variety of subjects actually, like different types of subjects we had. That kind of just boosts the students' interest on doing the course actually. That's a one. And even though in my class I could say that most of the students like okay, I'll start with the question actually. Everyone's first question is, do I need to learn sketching or do I need to learn drawing to come to architecture? I am not a good drawer or I'm not a good artist, so I can't come to architecture. That's one, like, should I come to architecture? That's one of the most concerning things that I have heard, like, during my first year as well, in my bachelor's. The thing is that you learn, like, we come with a certain set of skill set, and after, I guess, after 5 years, of course, we are going to accept in each and everything because during my time, I am a pass out batch to the freshers here. I'm a pass out batch of 1824. I just graduated 2 years ago. I did my practice for an year and now I'm pursuing my PG. When I came to B.Arch, my first year, there were students from my class who didn't know actually sketching, who were not good in sketching, who had their difficulties. Of course, they were kind of lacking. At the starting, they were lacking. And they were like, oh no, I shouldn't do this. It's not my cup of tea. But initially the support you get from faculties it's different. We are involved to a different set of faculties in which they are supporting us for doing, and like what they are not discouraging us to, okay, you don't know sketching, you don't do that. They are actually encouraging you, try, you can succeed. It's not like we don't have a skill set and we shouldn't try. After I like for me, I'm happy that I'm not the person who I came and like I'm not the person who I'm now, who I was 5 years ago. I have changed a lot. I have gained a different skill set, and yeah, and the major role it's completely going towards the faculties that I had there. And towards the questions or how Varnam ma'am asked me about AI. AI is a tool that has been what promptly being used in, I would say, this in this generation. And like during my bachelor's, AI wasn't that much active. I would say during my thesis time and AI came into effect, and people like my batchmates started to use AI more. The only thing I would say is use AI wisely and don't be dependent on it. Anybody can use AI. Anybody can get data from AI, and like AI has a wide scope of things you could actually explore into. But if you start to become dependent on AI, and like of course you can just type in one prompt and say, "Give me the answer to this question," AI will give you an n number of questions. But wouldn't be any output from your side. You have a thought process. We have a thought process. If you ask a question to another person, he would have an answer. Different people would have different answers, different opinions. So before using AI, if you have a certain idea of, okay, I can answer this question myself, but I should have a little bit idea from the outside source. Yes, you can use AI, but I would like the only thing I have to say is don't get dependent on AI. Use AI wisely. Use AI for your betterment. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Abhiram. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, about AI, I think there's a word that I would like to add. Without knowing what you want, you don't know what your output is. I think AI is kind of a difficult tool to use, isn't it? Yeah. So, any questions from the audience? Yeah, I think there are a few questions that had poured into me before the session started from a few people who were not able to join in for the session. One of it is about how to choose an institution. How do I choose the right institution for pursuing this course of architecture? Um, so, Jamam, could you help us with this?
Yeah, I know. When you have decided to choose architecture as your career, then the next confusion is to which institution should I apply? How do I rate an institution? What are the factors that needs to be looked into? Earlier days, the choices were very limited. Now that the choices is endless, so it becomes even more difficult and complex for a student or the parent to find out, okay, which is the right institution. But then there are certain factors that you need to consider while choosing an institution. Be that for any course, it should have a proper infrastructure. It's very very important for a learning environment to have the right infrastructure. So when you talk about infrastructure, it could be the physical infrastructure as well as the faculties and things associated with it. So faculty expertise is very very important. You need to have experts in the field teaching you. The profile of the faculties matters. Then you have to be very sure the kind of academic and the non-academic activities that the institution pursues. In like, what is the emphasis on? Is it just purely academic, or is it a combination of both? Because for a holistic or a value-based education, you need both academic as well as non-academic activities. So what are the kind of practical exposure that you are likely to get? Because architecture is one course which requires a lot of hands-on experience. It can't be taught in classrooms. You have to move out of your classrooms. You don't have prescribed texts. You learn through experiences. You have to see, you have to listen, you have to visit places, you have to see buildings. So that is how you learn architecture. You learn from your juniors, you learn from your seniors. So it's actually a win-win situation. Both you continuously keep on learning, but maybe outside the classroom. So you need a lot of practical exposure, for which you need a lot of things happening in your institution, like talks, seminars. You have to attend conventions, even student conventions. We have at national as well as zonal level. All these are opportunities or platforms where you get to listen to the best expert. We all these conventions bring experts from international platforms. So these are golden opportunities for a student to listen to. Then you need to have industry connections. You have to be really industry prepared while you graduate from your college, for which you require a lot of industrial networking, a strong industrial networking, for which a lot of student chapters have been formed in various institutions now. To name a few: plumbing chapters, Indian Institute of Architects student chapters, IGBC Green Building Council student chapters. Then, so similarly, you have to have a lot of these student chapters which functions in various ways in the campus, and that really helps you to get connected to the industrials or to the experts in the field. They encourage you for a lot of site visits. Then they encourage you to attend seminars, competitions, national level, international level competitions are being floated, and you have opportunities through all these chapters, or even open competitions. So all these things matters. How does the institution support you in all these activities? Then coming to student placement, how do the students get placed? But then what you have to understand is architect is one profession where it's very different from other disciplines, where you get placed. Companies come into your institution or your campus, and they do some kind of tests, and through a process they absorb a mass absorption of candidates. It doesn't happen in an architectural institution, because each firm is different. Architect's perspective is different. So depending on the projects, depending on the kind of requirements that they have, and it could vary from, it is not uniform throughout the year. There could be a time when they're flooded with projects. So it all happens in a very personalized manner. But what we have seen recently is these architects often gives calls to the institutions, good reputed institutions, to find out if there are good candidates who can take up such associations or such projects or work with them. Zero experience to in relatively 5 to 2 years or more than that of experience. So that is how students, then we immediately share it in students group, and that is how the news spreads, and that is how then they make a portfolio, and based on that they have interviews with the master architect, and that is how they get absorbed in offices. So these are the ways placements happen. But I should say that if you look back at the profile of students who have passed out, I think more than 90% of the students are well placed, be it from any institution. They are all placed in some form or the other. You should not look at the salary part initially. It is the expertise or the experience that you need to gain over initially, because academics and what is happening in the field is totally different. So all these things matters, and does the institution support you for all this? So these are the various things that you need to look into when you decide to choose an institution where you, it could be away from your home, but if that institution has all these positives, I think you must take a chance and look for the get admitted to the best institution possible.
Ma'am, that you mentioned right now, there's one thing that I was really curious about. Uh, Ma'am, am I audible to you? Yeah. So, ma'am, from the whole process, you mentioned about the institution having student chapters of various associations. So, does having a chapter or students chapter of an national level body at the institution make the students part of the fraternity by towards the end of the course? Does that benefit their profession or towards the end of their course? How will they be benefited?
Student chapters, they always give us a restriction on how many numbers it can accommodate. So like 30 to 40 students can become part of the student chapters, those students who are really interested. And that should be it should be pan semesters, right from the first year to the final years. But ideally it would be to join the semester in chapters at the initial stages of your B.Arch program, because you get more opportunities or more chances to interact with these professionals. But the students should know that our course has got a 6 months mandatory internship program included in our curriculum. So it's mandatory that we work under an architect who has got more than 5 years of experience. So uh, a student chapter can really ideally give you guide you to various leading architectural firms, or it opens a channel for you to select the kind of firm that you would like to work with, because like I mentioned earlier, each architect works in a very different way. So is that philosophy is what you are looking for? Some architects purely work on environment friendly architecture or sustainable practices. Is that what you're looking for? Some are heritage lovers and they concentrate on projects that are linked with heritage. Urban designers who concentrate on urban design projects. So it all depends on what your choices or what your personal taste is. These chapters can help you get connected to the best of these professionals in the industry. So it doesn't matter you join towards the end, or it will always help you if you have at least 2 to 3 years during your entire course. If you can get associated with this, it works like a mentorship. They can be really like mentors to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
There is a question, I think it's from Alif itself. What are the possibilities after the course?
Uh, yeah.
So,
I think
uh, Sunil, would you like to answer the question?
There are many fields people deviate from after they take B.Arch. Commonly known courses are Master in Architecture on various, say for example, energy efficiency, landscape, sustainability, and construction management. These are the common things. I think go to the SEPT itself offer something like 12 courses in masters. So there are many subjects which are very commonly people go into, like for example, urban design, planning, and urban landscape, things like that. But recently we have been hearing courses which are very new. For example, Last time, architect Tony from Calicut was saying his daughter has joined for a course called Design Management. These people actually go into architect's office and control the process of designing a building, right from the concept stage to the construction stage. It's not construction management. Construction management takes over much later. It's actually before construction management. How design is being progressed through different people, the different MEP consultants, and so there are many new courses you can go into. Broadly speaking, where you wanted to work on landscape, where you want to work on building itself, or you want to work on urban level, planning level, and there are many courses. And of course, we as Suja ma'am has already said, there are many of our students are working in another field, that's the film industry. There are many people who are working in photography and many other levels. Um, architecture is it's a way of preparing a person to. It's a basically you're developing your creativity when you're here for the first 5 years. Developing your creativity, but it's not just arts. It's more into it's not just a subjective side. So your creativity is developed. At the same time, how do you actually implement it? The management side that is also being developed. So it's a comprehensive development of an artistic mind. Now, how do you implement a project, whether it's an even a sculpture, that could be in landscape architecture. It need not be always a built structure in itself. Architecture can be built and unbuilt. So it's an overall development. So I would say you can just go to masters in architecture, search for that. You would come across some 20 common and common courses which are offered in many institutions. But other than that, there are many specialized field. Even on AA field, there are specialized fields in architecture. So there are, but in spite of all these factors, I would also say that I remember recently Sujamam was saying in Marian there was a firm from abroad came asking for some 12 fresh architects, and they couldn't finally find any. Reason being that everybody wants to start their own practice. That's sort of an architect's dream, that I should start my own practice. So they are willing to work under some architect for some time, so that aspiring them and taking all the leads from them, and then they want to start their own firms. Okay, over to you, Suja. You want to add something, please?
Would you like to add something to it? For the possibilities after the course?
Yeah, like Sunil said, the possibilities are endless. Sky is the limit, I would say, for an architect. You after your graduation, you can really, choose a field in which you would like to excel, or you like to pursue your career further. In fact, we had a talk by a product designer from Pune recently in one of the Indian Institute of Architects function. He is one of the most sought after product designers now, and he was saying how much architecture helped him in this field. The ergonomics or the anthropometrics that he studied through the 5-year program has really helped him to come out with out of the box innovative ideas in various products that he is now handling. So uh, a basic degree in architecture doesn't stop you from exploring the most complex and difficult world of arts and science. It's actually a combination of everything. How well you can bring your the various nuances of what architecture is all about. So it's an amazing field where you have a researcher can do he can be a research purely a researcher. He can be a critic, architectural critic. He can be an author of architecture books. So those who want to pursue anything in academic, that is the kind of options that we have. Then you become an interior designer specialist or a furniture. You can choose even just lighting alone, just sound alone. You can become an expert in that field just with your basic architectural degree. So that is a kind of opportunities that is available now, and thanks to the digital penetration, it's unbelievable the kind of facilities that is available now using all these latest digital technologies. You can even become a software developer for construction management or project management, or even problem solving techniques. BIM, building information modeling, is one of the most sought after expertise that is now people are looking for, and every graduate is now trying to master in that, because that particular program or that software is helping you to solve complex problems just even before the actual construction starts. So when it comes to large scale projects, for a developing country like ours, definitely this got huge potential. And the biggest plus point is that we have a huge young population now. So your innovative minds, your thinking process, your out of the box perspectives are really going to make a big change in our country, because we are a developing nation. So don't worry about the possibilities of the future. The sky is the limit.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Uh, that looks very prospective of the course. Um, Aleph is again asking, why Marian? Why Marian College of Architecture if I need to choose?
Yeah, Alif, it is just not Marian. It's just that we all are part of Marian and we organize this webinar. So naturally, certain things, we closely associate with what we offer as an institution. But like I said before, you have to look at the certain aspects that you have to seriously consider before choosing an institution is definitely there in Marian. So we are very confident, and especially myself, Sunil, we have put in about 30 years in a government college, and then now we have come to a private sector, and we really see the difference between how things work in private and government sectors. It's not that government sector is bad. CET, we both worked in CET, one of the most sought after colleges in our country. The thing is, everything is delayed, postings, the staff posting, or the facilities. It goes through a lot of bureaucratic processes and things get delayed. But in spite of that, that college does do well. That's because the same students join there. But when it comes to everything, is much more easier in a private sector, because you can really make things happen. So that is one advantage that we see in private institutions, where if you have the ideas and you have a very supportive management, things can really move forward. You can really raise your benchmark. So it's not just a question of promoting Marian. It's just that we have a very strong faculty team and a very strong supportive management, which is really very social, very committed to take architecture to the next level.
Thank you, ma'am. Um, Uh, ma'am, could you also guide us on what the process of becoming an architect is? What is the entrance course, entrance examinations, or what is the process for the entrance examination? And ultimately, after the 5 years of course, how do I call myself an architect?
Yeah, qualifying NATA, that is a mandatory aptitude test that one needs to pass to get an admission in any architectural institution in the country. And NATA is controlled by Council of Architecture, that is the apex body, which is a statutory body of the regulated by the Government of India as per the Architects Act 1972. So the council controls our profession, in fact, that both as an architect as well as the architecture education in the country, and they are the people who conduct this aptitude test. So qualifying NATA is mandatory. So you cannot get into an architectural institution without qualifying NATA. So for which physics and maths is compulsory subjects. So you need to have these two subjects included in your +2, so that you can apply for NATA test. So it's just the basic. People generally get worried about how intensely we should be qualified in maths to qualify for this test. It's nothing like that. It's just the basic concepts of maths that you need to know, as in any other engineering discipline. It's There is a little bit of maths that is involved in throughout the course. It's nothing very complex, so not very scary either. but it's physics and maths is compulsory. You can write NATA 3 times in a year. So, and each the best of the three is considered as your score, final score, and this score is valid for 2 years. So you write your exam now, and you intend to take your admission next year. That is, if you are in the 11th class and you need to take an admission the next year, that is also a good option because you qualify, you have a reasonably good score, and then you are free from the hassle of writing the entrance and with qualifying after your 12th. Then you can focus on doing your 12th in a good way so that you get good marks, because finally when the rank list is prepared, it is 50% of your 12th standard marks and 50% of NATA. So both are equally important. So it is good to have a decent score in your 12th as well as a good score in NATA. So because both matters, and then after you qualify in NATA, after you become an actor, after you complete your 5 years of course, uh, then you can immediately apply for a license to Council of Architecture. And that is the beauty of this course, just like how very few disciplines, in fact, in our country have got this licensure, that is chartered accountant, doctors, advocates. So architecture is again another stream where you get a license to practice anywhere in India, and it's given by the Council of Architecture. So as soon as, and you can put your title AR, architect, just like how doctors put doctor in their title, you can add the title to your name. It is all being given by the Council of Architecture. You are given a number which is constant throughout your life, and which every 10 years you need to renew your license. It is mandatory to have this license, and your experience, in fact, it is very important when you apply for a government job, because you become a architect only after you get your license. So you finish your studies and then you don't bother about obtaining a license for 5 6 years, and then you apply for your architectural experience starts only from the day you are awarded the license. So it's very important to secure a license soon after your studies. So initially you need to qualify NATA to get admission. You need to have the 50% marks of NATA and plus 2 are equally divided. And then after you complete your course, it's very important that you apply for your license in council. So CA is the apex body that controls us.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Um, with this, I think there's one more question that has been sent to me personally. How do you prepare for the NATA exam? Uh,
See, there are various coaching centers that give you a training for NATA test, but uh, it's very difficult to say how would the questions be. It's more of it's a mixture of little bit of maths, communication skill, that is English, then little bit of GK in the sense is just not general knowledge, but a little bit of information about the architecture as well. So you need to, it could be like important buildings, identify Taj Mahal. They would show you a picture of a Taj Mahal in an objective question, and you will be asked to identify. So it is good to know a little bit of what is iconic building structures of the various um, countries. So questions could be based on that. So it's a mixture of all these, and then you have another part B, where you have they test you for your drawing aptitude as well as composition making. They give you a few models, and you are given a question, and you are supposed to be making a small a composition out of it. How you uh, formulate balance, or how do you apply your visual capabilities to it. How does the final composition look like? How do you manage the harmony or the proportion? Things like that. It's not like they are not judging you as an architecture student because you learn all these only after you join architecture, but it is just the initial, that thinking power or that creative power in you that they are testing. But they also give a little bit of importance to these kind of things as well, like maths, your English, your little bit of physics, and not no chemistry, not no questions for chemistry or anything like that. Then statistics, permutation, combinations, probabilities, or some kind of things based on these subjects. That is how a NATA test is all about. So probably these coaching centers can help you to have a kind of an idea of how the questions could be. But I can tell you that each time the test is very different. There is no standardized way in which you can prepare and come and do the test. So uh, I wouldn't say it is difficult. It's just that you need to have an aptitude towards this creativity or this creative field. Otherwise, it might be a little difficult to find. Because there is no negative marking. It is 3 hour session with 1.5 hours for your objective type and 1.5 hours for your drawing skill test.
Thank you, ma'am. There is another question. Um, will you recommend any coaching centers, any genuine ones?
So, I will recommend any coaching center. But definitely, if you go to any coaching center, this questions won't be a surprise to you. You know what type of questions are you have to answer. But we are not recommending any specific coaching center as such. But it's always better that you go into some. At least you get an idea about how what type of questions would come, so that when you face NATA, it won't be a surprise to you. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Um, are there any more questions from the audience? If not, I think we could conclude. Is there any more questions? I think the session was a journey from the identification of the prospects of the course as architecture, and from moving there to what am I going through the process of 5 years, and then finally how do I become an architect, and what is the possibility after I become an architect, and the relation that I need to have with the fraternity for the future prospects. It was a summarization of all these aspects, and if there are no questions, I would like to present the vote of thanks to the experts we have here, Dr. Sunil Edward and Professor Suja Kumari, for your time and your words and all the clarity that you brought in for the questions that were poured in from the uh, participants, and the questions that are received in person. Thank you so much for the questions as well to all the participants who are here. Thank you, Architect Abhiram, for taking out your time and becoming a part of the session of this webinar, and highlighting your journey as from a student to an architect, and how and your thought process about how AI is really changing or how AI needs to be used in architecture. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you all to the participants for your time and effort. I hope it has got some clarity to your prospective thoughts about architecture as a profession. Uh, we shall conclude here. Good evening, all, and have a good day. Thank you.
All the best wishes for the aspirants. Thank you so much for this opportunity too. It was nice sharing our experience with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.